Okay, hello everyone. Today we're going to be going over writing and presenting the offer. If you are online, just email me, wendy.schaller@realty1group.com, and I will go ahead and email you the packet. But in here you're going to have the MLS sheet, duties owed, buyer broker agreement, the broker compensation and compliance fee we kept out. I'll explain why. Wire fraud, purchase agreement, and the actual RPA, which is residential purchase agreement. So we are going to start with, okay, so you take your clients out. They view a house, they love it. All these classes go in order. So last class was viewing the homes. We have viewing vacant, new build, and owner occupied, right? You show them a little differently. So you've taken them out, they viewed the home. So now they want to make an offer. What do you do? Before you make the offer, I always suggest calling that agent, the listing agent. Hi, we just showed your house at 123 Main Street. My clients really like it. They're considering making an offer. Do you currently have any other offers on that property? I don't know what they're going to tell you. Sometimes they'll tell you the truth. Sometimes they'll lie. Myself, I always say tons of interest. I have two people calling. They called and said they're going to be submitting an offer later today. I don't have anything in writing, but that's what they're telling me. So until it's in writing, it's nothing, because people tell you all day long I'm submitting an offer and then they don't. But I want them to know, submit your highest and best. When you say that to people, we don't have any offers, but submit your highest and best. Are you going to submit your highest and best? No, there's nobody else there. I'm going to submit what I think, and you should talk to your client about it. What do you want to offer? But you should also arm them with this information. Hey, I'm just letting you know, they have one other offer they're in negotiations with. If we're going to submit one, we want to do our highest and best offer. We might only get one chance, right? But then also you're going to do the comps. You're going to pull that before you have your client decide what price. Just because that agent pulled a price out of the sky does not mean that's what the property is valued at. So you want to do your comps. You don't want your client overpaying. But some people, some buyers, they don't care what the price is. If they love that house, they are going to buy that house no matter what it is. They're going to waive their appraisal. They're going to pay above that. If they just really love the house, have to have the house, love the school district, whatever it may be. But we let them decide. But we're here to arm them with the information. Hey guys, I know you love the house. Let me go back and do the comps, call the agent, see what's going on with it, and then we'll talk about making an offer. You don't want to just write whatever's on there. And if you call them, they're going to say, I want my title company. I'm not paying closing costs. I'm reducing your commission. They're going to tell you all the bad stuff. You're still going to write an offer for what you and your client want to write. Doesn't matter what they tell you, right? They will always try to tell you, use my title company. I have this little saying, the agent that wins the title company is the stronger agent. So keep that in mind. It's always the buyer's choice for the title company, title and escrow. But they can say, hey, if they really talk to you about it and say, we're coinciding another client closing because they're buying another home. We want to keep it at great. They have a binder because they're selling multiple properties all at once. I get that. That makes it a little bit difficult. We have a trust and there's a death and this and that, and we have a certificate. They've already done everything. Great. Yeah, that makes it, I understand why you want to do it. But if they just are like, we want this, my seller wants this company. Your seller probably hasn't sold a house in 9 years, so they don't know which title company to use, but you want this title company. We all try to use our own title company because the title companies, the title and escrow and the marketing reps do so much for us. They give us the package. They help us with the farms, the open house package. So the only way we can give them back, because we can't legally compensate them, is to send them work. So we all try to get our offer accepted with our own title company. Some agents don't care, just send me whoever. But once you start working, you're going to realize what a good title company is, what a good escrow officer is, because there'll be hiccups. Oh, I lost this paperwork, can you send me this? And you're not hearing from them, like, what is going on here? So titles, everybody know what title is. Title and escrow is a neutral third party. They take all the seller documents and all the buyer documents, and their job is to make sure it's clear title and then meld everything together and then disperse the funds where they go. After the buyer brings in their money, everything's paid off, and then the seller gets whatever proceeds. So title, no matter whose side wins that title company, title's neutral, right? They don't really talk to either side, but you just want to win yours. They've done so much for you, want to win your title company, right? So they'll give you a whole slew of things that you need to write in your offer, but still go ahead and write it so it's beneficial to your client, right? So you'll call that agent, see if there's multiple offers, ask if there's anything specific. And so they're like, oh, I'm so glad you called. It looks like we're not closing on our other house. We need a rent back. So then now you have an edge up. So if somebody else is submitting an offer and didn't call, they don't know that. So now your offer comes over with a rent back, they're just going to take your offer. They don't even want to try to negotiate with the other person. They understand that you understand what's going on. So you always want to call. Is there anything that you need us to add? A specific closing date? Does your seller need more time? Do they need a fast close? You're going to ask them just random things. You just see, because you're trying to build rapport. I am the type of agent, it's communicating. Now, there are some agents that don't want to talk to you, so they answer the phone and they'll hang up on you and say, please text me. I'm trying to build a rapport. So I still go back, hey, this is Wendy Schaller. I just showed your beautiful listing at 123 Main Street. My client really likes it. We're thinking about submitting offer. And now I've given them a long text. You should have answered the phone, because now you're getting a long text. Because I'm still trying to build that bond, because there are a lot of agents that don't call the other agent. So if they've already talked to me, they feel, well, is there anything I can add in there that your seller might be looking for, anything specific? Now they know that you're trying to really write a good offer. So it's really just building that rapport, guys, right? So you want to call up, and then once everything is signed, okay, well, first, let's back up. So when you're on the mentee program, what happens is you guys have already, before you looked at a home, you've already filled out a duties owed and a BBRA. Had me and Tim review that. Once we make sure it's all good, then you send it to your client to sign. Once it's signed, then you guys upload it into SkySlope. When you're on the mentee program, you guys don't touch SkySlope unless you're putting in a rental, a referral, or uploading your BBRA and duties owed. That's the only time. After that, so now that's sitting there waiting, you're showing homes, and now they want to make an offer. So what you do is you guys go into Transaction Desk, you've talked to your client, figured out what you want to offer and everything, go into Transaction Desk and you write up the offer. So if you aren't part of the LVR just yet because your license hasn't come in, that will be something that is in the next step. But you go in there and it's all the forms of everything that you need, and you just digitally fill them out. You're going to fill them out, and if there's anything that you don't know what to put in, we have onerealtyresource.com. You go there and it's a video that plays for every page of every document on how to properly fill out everything that you could possibly need here in Nevada real estate, right? So we've made a video on that. So I always say fill it out in Transaction Desk. If there's any blanks, go to One Realty Resource, fill the rest in, and then you email it to me and Tim to review. Do not send it to your clients first and get them to sign it. Because if you've messed up on anything and then we get it, now we're making you correct it. Now that buyer has to re-sign it. It's a big mess and it makes it look like you guys don't know what you're doing. Your clients don't need to know that Tim and myself are back here behind the scenes. We're trying to make you guys look good. You know what you're doing. Wow, the offer is great. Already just doing that, you're going to surpass a lot of the agents out there that haven't had any training. So we want to make sure that you guys know what you're doing and how to properly fill everything out. So you fill it out, go to One Realty Resource, fill out anything that's missing, and then send it to me and Tim. What we're going to do is always send it to me and Tim, because most of the time it's going to be me that reviews it. But if I can't get to it within an hour, that's when Tim jumps in. A lot of agents are like, oh, I'm just sending it to Wendy. But then like this morning, it was like 2 hours before I could get to my email, and somebody wanted to submit an offer, and I'm like, you didn't tag Tim in there. He could have gotten to it, and now you had to wait 2 hours, you know? So we try not to do that. So just send it to both of us. He'll review it, I'll review it, whatever. And then I'll send you an email back. Hey, page 1, line 12, fix this. Page 3, line 8, fix that. Send it back, make the corrections. If it's nothing major, you're good to go ahead. But most of the time you make the corrections and then you send them right back to me. And I verify because I know you're in it, so I'm in it. I'm waiting for that response email. I make sure it looks good, great, send it off, right? You have to fill out everything, and we're going to go through that because a lot of agents, there's the last page which asks for all the listing agent's information, and they leave it blank. Well, don't do that, because now you've just opened yourself up for a counteroffer. You're trying to avoid the counteroffer, because when you get, like, you send an offer over there, when they have to counter you, they're going to try to counter everything out of there, right? Anything that you want. But if it's really good and it's like, well, the only thing I want to counter is their title company, and the seller can't do that. It's the buyer's choice, right? So they're like, okay, well, let's just accept it, you know? We really want to try to get Rock Title as many closings as we can. But here's the thing. We are not going to lose a closing because we are fighting over the title company. we're going to ask for it, they might counter back. If we have to counter for anything else, we'll counter back and try to put rock back in there. But if they say that's our only thing is we're not using that title company, okay, we'll go ahead and give that to you, because we're trying to do the best for our clients, but also try to give credit where credit is due. But we don't want to lose a deal over a title company, right? But we're going to try our best to do it. So you're going to go back and forth, and then now we've corrected everything. Now you send it to your client to sign. Okay, you're going to Authentisign it to them and make sure all the spots are there. Authentisign is a little tricky. Sometimes it puts the little spots in there to sign. Other times you have to drag and drop all the spots. It's random. I know when you're uploading something, you have to put them in there, but there's been times where I've pulled up a document, I'm like, why are my signing blocks not there? It's just random. So just make sure you guys go through it and all the signing blocks are there, because if you miss one, now it's going back and forth trying to get something signed, or they have to counter it. Because that's what I will do, is if you send me, I'm the listing agent, and you guys send me an offer and you didn't fill out anything on the last page for my information, I'm going to write a counter, and I'm going to say everything on page 12, see below, and I'm going to fill it all in. Oh, and by the way, I'm no longer not only giving you X percentage of commission, and I'm changing your title. If you're going to open me up for a counter, I'm going to make sure it's going to benefit my seller really good, and we're going to go back and forth. So just be very thorough in there. There are a lot of times as a listing agent, I will get offers that are half filled out and they're leaving blanks, and so I'm like, thank you so much for your offer. When you're finished filling it out, go ahead and send it back to me, because I can't present it in that form, because I'm going to go to my seller and I'm like, I don't know what they want here. They left that blank. I'm not quite sure what they mean. I can't do that. You need to fill everything out properly and then send it over, okay? I'm not trying to be mean, but I can't do my job because you guys didn't do your job as buyer's agents, right? So I make sure, there's a lot of agents you're going to get, and you're like, oh my God, they challenge you. I don't need to do that. Yes, you really do. And I always say, do not leave any blanks at all. If it needs some verbiage in there, put N/A if you don't need it. And if it's a number, put 0.00 in there. Because back in the day when we used to hand fill these out, if I left a blank and they got it on the other side and they wanted to put something in there, they could, and now it's a challenge. Did I put it? Did they put it? So now it's a little bit more difficult, because most everything is filled out through Authentisign, but there are some agents that still hand sign, and we have to sometimes. Like, we're out, we're not expecting to write an offer, and we're like, oh, you call the listing agent, and they're like, you have to get it to me within an hour. Hey, I've got blank copies of everything in my car, guys. Carry blank copies everywhere, because you never know when you're going to need to fill out an offer. So I have a little bin in the back of my car. I have pruning shears. I have toilet paper. I have hand sanitizer. Like, I have all my documents in a file of anything that I might need, because you never know what you need. I'm measuring tapes. Like, you just don't need. So in the back, it slides around the back of my car, drives my family crazy, but I am prepared in case anything happens. So same thing with the contracts. You can stop, but if you don't have your computer, or you can't get Wi-Fi, or you don't have the plug to charge it, now you're trying to do it on your phone. And I don't know if you guys have tried to use Authentisign on your phone, but it comes in about this big, and it's line by line, and you're trying to do it, and it's just a nightmare. So sometimes we do have to fill things out by hand. And then I always send it to the other agent. So sorry, was doing it last minute, but wanted to get it to you, but everything else will be typed up, because it is hard. Sometimes you can't read people's writing, right? So we want to make sure it's filled out properly. But don't leave any blanks. That's my number one pet peeve. And when you guys send me things, I'm like, great, but on this line, put N/A on this one. And I will tell you, and it gets really frustrating, because I was like, I start the email out, thanks so much. Please do not leave any blanks. Go back and fill in your blanks, because it is super important, guys, right? All right, so now you filled everything out, and everything is signed. So you're going to you review it, then you send it to your client to sign. Now, we have, and I didn't include it in here, but it's an an email sent over to the listing agent on what to say in the body of the email, and I'll get that all for you. But thank you so much. We viewed your property at 123 Main Street today. Thank you so much for allowing us to do so. Beautiful property. My clients really love it. Please see the attached offer. Hopefully we can make this work. And you can do a little summary. You know.
This that you have, where it says something similar to that. It says, hi, Agent A.
Oh yeah. It is below.
There,
mm-hmm.
But it's sort of in the same.
Yeah, so you could do it like that, but we actually have a script that Tim has printed out, so I can get that for you too. But yeah, this is something that I typed up before. So thank you for taking my call earlier. As I mentioned, we viewed your listing 123 Main Street, which my clients really love. Please see the attached offer, pre-approval letter, and MLS sheet. When you are sending an offer over, you are going to send the RPA, purchase agreement that you typed up, the MLS sheet that you used when you took them to the property, because there is a date and time on there, guys. You never want those MLS sheets to be more than 24 hours. I try to get it as close to me viewing that property, and I'll tell you why in a second. And then you need that pre-approval letter or your proof of funds, bank statements or whatever. Because if you go through this package, there's an MLS sheet towards the back. Okay? And I'm going to show you. Here it is. This is your agent to agent, or it's called agent brochure view. No, agent full view. So when I'm showing homes, and that was in the class prior to this, I print this out for myself, and I print the other one with the picture. It's called the client brochure view for them, and agent full view for me. Because this one will give me the everything, the HOA, taxes, but it'll give me gate codes, alarm codes, and then there's agent-to-agent remarks down here. That's just us talking. But on the client's view, it does not. It has a picture and just their basic stuff that they need to know. They get that stack as we're driving around, and I get this stack, and I number them, and that's in the last class. But I send this over because at the very top, there's a date and a time on there, right? So if you show a house today and then don't make an offer until next week, this information might change. They might have taken out the appliances. They might have included something, or like they had a carpet allowance that they took out. And then when you saw it, it was there, and you make the offer, and then when they accept it, and they're like, oh no, like we took that out. And now your client doesn't get it because you guys didn't update that. So I try to pull it, and I don't pull it after I viewed it. I pull it from when we viewed it, right? Because when I was there, this is what was offered. And then afterwards, I'm like, and then you can see the date and time. So if we have to go in front of the court or the board or whatever, I'm going to say, this is when I pulled it, this is what it said, and this is what we saw. But back in the day, they used to put the commission on here. And then there'd be 3%, and then you show it, they know an offer's coming in, they change it to 2.5%. And then you submit it, and then they're like, no, it's like, so I have no proof of what time I was in there, what time I showed it. So you could go back, if you did include it, and say, hey, we showed it at this time. This is what I made the offer on. It said X percentage down here. You changed it after, and that's not what I was making my offer on, right? So you want to just stay consistent. So always your RPA, your MLS sheet, the agent one, that's got all the private information, and your proof of funds or pre-approval letter, right? Okay. So, and you reference this in the contract. I'm going to show you that as we finish going. But so you send that over, and then I'd really love to make this work for my clients. Please let me know if there's anything else that your seller may need or be requesting. We look forward to hearing from you. And if you could please confirm that you've received this offer. So I email that over, but I also text them. I just sent you over an offer for 123 Main Street. Can you please confirm you received it? Because guys, sometimes it goes to junk mail and you don't follow up, and 2 days later they accepted somebody's offer because agents love to not check their junk mail. I don't know why, but it's like all day long I'm like regular junk, I'm like deleted, what's going on, trash, what? Always, because things just pop in different directions, so you want to make sure that you're checking that all day long. So now they've missed your offer because you didn't double check or let them know that it was there. So now we're going to do, that's just going on for the basics of kind of how the offer goes. Again, first, before you even take a client out, you need your duties owed and your supplemental form. We just changed this up, and I'll show you. So when you're filling out the duties owed, it's your name, your license number, your clients. If there's one or two, put them there. If they are both going to be on the loan, they both need to be on every document, right? Because if you do a duties owed and a BBRA with a husband, and then they want to be sneaky, and then the house is going to actually be your wife's name, guess what? You're not due a commission because she's not anywhere on anything, and you've just done all the work for them. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, I was trying to put 3 people on it. It's a little bit tricky.
It is very tricky. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that would be, you're going to want to call Transaction Desk and ask them how to do that. Because again, Transaction Desk is another party through the LVR. So the MLS, Transaction Desk, they're all run through the LVR. They have their own classes and everything. You can fumble through and try to figure it out. I can do
I
the,
tried
yeah.
to
It's
finally I got the person out.
Yeah, it's very difficult, but you can call them up and then walk. Transaction Desk is a 24-hour hotline. They will sit on the phone with you for 3 hours just to make sure you've got everything. They're really good, but that's what we're paying for our LVR dues for, right? For those systems. I know the basic on how to use it and take people in and out, but to add more, it's always tricky. It is.
So if let's say the situation happens, you get the husband signs the duties owed and never mentions anything of wife, and you get down to the end for, doing the actual contract, and he says, oh, I don't want it, needs to be on it, how?
So you should know that before, because you don't want to take anybody out to view homes unless they have a pre-approval.
Okay.
Right? But he might just have his funds, the funds are going to come from his personal bank account. So he signs it, but whenever they're signing, say, okay, how many people are going to be purchasing the home? Who's going to be on title and who's going to be on the loan? Always start with that when you're signing these. Say, great, I just need everybody to sign the documents from the get-go of who's going to be involved in the
And
transaction.
if he says, oh, it's just me, it's gonna be
And
under
it
my
changes
name,
sometimes.
And you don't have to get the wife when showing the homes? Like, is that
I
something-
try to.
Okay.
I try to, because sometimes it comes down to the very end, and you're like, they've already made an offer, it's accepted, and we go to closing, and we're a week out, and the lender's like, we need to put the wife on there.
And
So what you do is you just amend it.
Okay.
She signs it, and then everybody initials all around where she
Okay.
signed,
Okay.
right? And then you have to do an addendum, because through the whole transaction, everything's been in the husband's name. Well, now you have to alert the other side that the wife is going on there. So titles were going to require an addendum, and then so is everybody in the home party, right? So you can fix it along the way with an addendum. But yeah, I always try to get it out the get-go, because a lot of times the husband's like, oh, it's just me, but my wife has the full say of whatever, and I'd still like to put her on there then, and if she's not on there, that's fine. When we go to fill out the documents, then it can just be you. That's okay. I'd rather be safe, but again, you really want to know who's going to be on it, because when you're filling out the contract, you don't want to put the wife on there if she's not going to be on there, because then that messes up everything too, because entitle requires her to sign when really she just needed a quick claim to get off of there. Whole big thing. So you really just want to find out who your signers are right at the beginning. So in here, you're going to put your signers' names, your clients' names, if they're buyers or sellers. In this case, they're buyers. And then the broker is always Mark Otero. Doesn't matter which of the 4 offices you're out of, broker's name is always Mark Otero, because he is our corporate broker. And then right under that, your company's Realty One Group. Are there any additional licensees involved in this transaction? We just required you to change that to yes, because we're starting to talk to more and more of your clients, right? What that means is, will any other licensed agent be talking to your clients? So it's safer just to say yes, rather than, hey, Wendy, there's a good issue. Can you talk to my client? I can't talk to him until now we have everybody sign this. So we're just right out the gate say yeah. And so that is what starts.
And in telling the client that, because they're like, who are these other people?
Just say my broker, my sales manager.
Okay.
And no, but because even seasoned
we have
agents,
the mentee program,
nope,
yeah.
even seasoned agents, we have to talk to their clients.
Okay.
If there's lawsuits or whatever, so our broker, this isn't just for mentees.
Right.
There are people on teams. This is
Okay.
my team lead, or hey, I might go out of town for a week, so somebody's going to need to talk to you. So I just, in case that's the case, and this is the person that you would probably won't deal with them, but in case you do, it's already taken care of.
Okay.
If you go in the hospital, if something happens, now we can just take over.
I always have someone to
Yep,
you.
yep. Just say, hey, we always just require the broker and sales manager, just in case something happens and they have to pick up anything in this or call you for anything, right?
Okay.
So then once marking that box yes, it starts, it forces you to do the supplemental list of licensees, right? But to finish this one out, these are your duties as a realtor, and so you should know them, and that's what you should, because you've got to explain this to them. Like, technically, this form is required the minute somebody asks you, how's real estate? What's going on? Great, I just need you to sign this. This is not a contract. It's very difficult, right? But they want it. Like, if you're at Thanksgiving dinner, and they're like, oh, how's the market? Great, can you sign this real quick and we have a discussion? It's kind of stupid, but that's what the real estate division requires of us. So we just require at Realty One that it's done before you even start the process, right? So with that, these are your duties, and you're fair, and you're not you're not there to mislead people. You're gonna be open and honest and give them all the material facts and all that. But down here, it says licensee acting for both parties may or may not work both sides of the transaction. When you are on the mentee program, we do not allow you to monitor, work both sides of the transaction. It's called multiple representation. You'll also hear it as dual representation. Is it legal in this state? Yes. Should it be? No. In 20 years, I've never done a multiple representation. It is a slippery slope, guys, okay? What that means is I take a listing as a listing agent and I represent the seller. And I'm like, okay, here are the comps. This is what I think we should do. And then all of a sudden I have somebody that says, I don't want a realtor, or I want you to be my realtor. And so now I have to put my buyer hat on. And when I do that, they're wanting is, what's the best price? How much do you think I can get off of it? Tell me all the repairs, da 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 da. Well, I can't. I become neutral now because I already represented the seller, and now you want me to represent you. But if I give you that, then the seller, I wasn't doing the best for my seller, so I have to be neutral. So now they want to write an offer, and they said, what should I offer? I said, oh, well, here are the comps. You just let me know what you want me to write in there. I can't help them. So then I take their offer, and I go, hey, Mr. Seller, you got an offer. He's like, is it good? Well, here are the comps. There you go. And now I've become neutral, and now I don't represent either side. And it's not fair, but it's the fastest way for you guys to get sued. I'm telling you, in 20 years, I've never done one. I refuse to do one. All you do in that sense is, right now, I represent the seller. I'm more than happy to get you an agent that will refer it to you. Because what a lot of times they think is that you're going to do both sides and you're going to save a whole 3-4% to the seller, and they think they're going to get a discount. You just say, I don't understand why you wouldn't want your own representation. If you're going to go into court, would you not want a lawyer to represent you? No, I just want to save money. Oh, I hope you do understand that the seller, it's already built in there that the seller's paying a commission. Even if I did it, I'd get my full commission. So we're not saving any money here. So why don't I just get you somebody that can really handle your transaction and look at your best interest, and then you refer them to somebody and you get a referral fee. They handle it, you stay out of it, you just represent your seller, they represent the buyer, and then they'll pay you a referral fee at the end. And now you don't have to worry about getting sued because you removed yourself. If you can remove yourself, guys, that's the best way to do it. Now, sometimes they'll come up to you, and we're having this issue now where they're unrepresented, and that's another problem, is they don't want you, even you as a listing agent, to represent them. So how are you going to write an offer when everything needs to be on the LVR forms? They're unrepresented buyer, and they don't have access to these forms, and we as realtors are not allowed to give it to them. And if I don't represent them, I can't give it to them. So it becomes a slippery slope. So we really do want realtors on each side so that everybody's protected. So, but especially since you are on the mentee program, you are going to have your clients initial in the may not section. If there's two of you, there's one in one line and one in the other line. You may not represent both sides, right? So if you have a listing and it's sitting there and all of a sudden your buyer's like, I want that. Great, you have to pick, you already got the listing, so you're there. So now you have to refer that buyer out, okay? And then you just collect a referral fee. So then they initial there, and then they sign date and time at the bottom. So on the supplemental form, at the top, it's you as a licensee, acting for your clients, broker. I do Mark Otero, Realty One Group, because I like my clients to see our brokerage name. It's his name. It just asks for the broker, which would be Mark Otero. I always like to put Realty One Group, just so my clients, it's consistent. Everything says Realty One Group, right? And then it asks you, who might it be? Here's Tim's name, and then his license number, my name, and my license number, right? I am not a licensed broker. I'm just a regular realtor salesperson. 20 years, I don't want to get my broker's license, so that's why mine is S. Tim's is a broker salesperson, so it's BS. Mark Otero is B, broker, yeah. So, so you have to keep an idea clear of what those initials are, because if you just put Tim as the S, that's not broker. It's not saying he's the broker. So you need to make sure it's BS. And his number, and then mine is just S. Right? And then they just sign date and time it at the bottom. That needs to be done first before you go show any homes. Then the other form, yes.
If my client does not want to fill out these forms or have them go through AuthentiSign, do I just fill out as much as I can?
Yep, and then just bring it to them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes we have to do wet signatures. Yeah. There are some people, even the AuthentiSign signing it, they click on it and they're like, I can't go past this, and I've had to 11 o'clock at night sometimes drive to someone's house and like, I just need you to sign it. If it's an offer, I'm like, okay guys, they're hung up, it's in a loop, and I'm like, okay, I try to resend it a different, let me do it an email again, and it doesn't work, so get in the car and drive it over there. They can sign wet, you can fill it out. What we don't like is this page is typed, This page is handwritten, you know, one is signed type, one is like, it just looks really messy. So you want to try to stay consistent. If you're filling it out, either fill it all out in handwriting or fill it all out in typing. Their signature, it doesn't matter if it's wet or, you know, AuthentiSign typed. So that's fine. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, so if they're just gonna do the wet signature, then I hand write everything in.
No, you can type it. You can type it, yeah, and then they can handwrite or they can do AuthentiSign. That's up to you. But you need to be consistent. Either you're filling the whole 3 pages out in AuthentiSign or you're handwriting all 3 pages in. Their signature is, you know, that needs to be, but it just needs to be consistent. That, you know, sometimes we're like, we fill it out and then I send it to them, but they already got in the car and I'm like, okay, I'll just print it and bring it to you. And now they signed. No big deal. But so this is your buyer broker agreement. I've already kind of gone over that. There's tons of videos. I just did a video of it as well, but I wanted to quickly touch base. And I'm just going to go over the spots that you need to fill in. So at the top, exclusive or non-exclusive. Exclusive means they're only working with you. Non-exclusive means they can be working with as many agents as they want. So the only way you're going to get paid is if you showed them the home, right? And usually when you do that, non-exclusive, every time you take them out, you write the address in there. But if it's exclusive, only working with you, you're going to get paid no matter what they buy. And if they go and walk into an open house, well, great, but you're exclusive with me, so I'm due a commission, right?
On non-exclusive, do you have to every single time get them to sign a new one to each one you walk into?
I would.
Okay.
I would, because non-exclusive, and then like all of Clark County, but then what if you showed them 123 Main Street and so did another realtor, who gets it? Like, it's timing wise, but so you're both, you know, so if you get.
Every time before we walk through the door. Just
Yep.
sign it. Okay.
And so then the next one is number 10, marking which properties. I do, like if it's just a regular residential, I always do residential and new build, new home, right? Because you never know. They tell you they don't want new home, and then next thing you know, you're showing a new home, and if that's not marked, you're not getting paid a commission. You're doing the work, you're just not getting paid. So make sure you mark both of those. If they're an investor or you think that they might just buy something also as investment, mark investment. Commercial, you're not allowed to do commercial unless you shadow somebody for 3 commercial deals. Then they have to sign off at corporate, and then you guys are free to do commercial. But let me tell you, I've taken 9 commercial classes myself, and it's a whole nother ball game. So really dive deep into commercial if you want. And then vacant land, we are allowed to sell vacant land. So if that's the case and you think that they might be wanting to buy vacant land and then build, you can do that. And if they do that, then you want to write the next one, not mark the next one custom build. Because if they're buying land, then they're going to build on it. So make sure that you can maybe get some kind of a commission from that builder, right? Other, I leave. Okay, number 13, applicable cities. Just put all of Clark County. And then in number 16, put the description, all of Clark County. Because if you put Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, if they buy in Henderson, guess what? You're not getting paid. If you put a zip code, 89131, because that's what they wanted, and then they buy an 89130, you're not getting paid. It's that easy, guys, for them to challenge you to not get paid. You did all of the work, and at the end they're like, oh, but I never said you know. So just put all of Clark County. Now, if you think they're going to buy in Pahrump, put Nye County. You know, I think Sandy Valley might be Nye County as well, too. So some people put all of the state of Nevada, but I don't like to do that. You want to work in your area. If you don't plan on driving back and forth to Reno 6 hours, then don't put that, you know. Get a referral. I wouldn't, and come talk to me if that's something you run into. But, okay, so then if they are just going to do, hey, I saw your listing, can you show me your listing? And then you show them your listing. You can legally show your own personal listing without having one of these signed, okay? But I still would like them to sign it because then I can show them multiple properties. So say you show them your listing and they're like, I don't like this one. Can you show me the one across the street? Now you have to get one assigned, and you would put individual ones, right? Just the address, not all of Clark County. You're just putting the address down there because it's very specific to that one house. Do you have a question?
If you show your own listing, then wouldn't it then be like if they want to buy, then let me refer you to Lauren to take
Yep.
over as your buyer's
Yep.
agent. You can do that. Okay.
Yep. And that's why we don't allow you to do open houses on any other brokerage's listings.
Right.
Because every single person that walks in that house, if it's not your own listing, and I have a listing or somebody has a listing, and you're like, let me do an open house. Well, it's not your listing. So every person that walks in cannot view it until they sign this. Nobody is going to sign a contract just to go view the property when they're like, no, it's just an open house.
But those are for non-Realty One. open
Yep,
houses.
non-Realty One. But when you're at any Realty One a listing, if I do an open house on your listing, Lauren, I don't need it because we are one brokerage. You can stay within your brokerage, right? Okay, so whenever you guys are ready to do open houses, if you have questions, let me know. All right, so then the length of the agreement. If they are local, I'll do as little as 6 months to a year, okay? That's what I do, right? But if they are out of state from California and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna come in, and I do a minimum of a year. Because they'll tell you, oh, I'll be in next month. And then it's 3 months down the road and you did a 4-month contract and you're like, I'm out. Like, I don't even have a contract now. Then I have to start back over. So I say, okay, you're local, let's just do a 6 month, and then we'll go from there. If we need to extend it, we sure can. But then if you're out of state, I'm gonna do a year long. That's just what I do. Now you guys can pick and choose. You can do 1 day. You can do a 1-day contract, but you don't really wanna do that, but okay, yes.
When you want to renew that
Yeah.
contract, when do you need to do it? Like month
Before this
before?
expires.
And then set the date for the expiration or to the.
Well, this date is when it's set to expire.
Yes.
So if that one's gonna expire tomorrow, I'm gonna get them one signed today for another year.
Another year.
Mm-hmm, yep.
It's the same form all over.
Same form all over, You could put multiple ones in there.
So that question. So I have a referral form that's signed with the other agent. That's expired when this expires. Then that referral form, do I need to sign it?
I would. When in doubt, when it has to do with your commission, just do a little bit extra.
Okay.
Because if there's a lapse and they're not under contract, and that referral, because if the referral fee, the referral form expires, but they're already in escrow, you're okay for that one. But if that one falls out and they want to find another one the next day, you don't have one. So it's always best just to err on the side of caution and make sure your dates. So you guys got to stay on top of those dates.
Okay.
Super important. Okay, so put that's your expiration. Buyer broker. Okay, so now line number 36. That's where you're going to put your commission. You're always going to put the max amount of commission because whatever is in that spot, you cannot get $1 more than that, right? So a lot of agents are like, I'm going to put 2%, but I'll ask the agent 3. Well, why bother asking them 3? Because you're not going to get any more than 2 because you just put 2 there, right? So if you know you're going to look at new builds, sometimes they pay 4 or 5%. Great. But if you only put 3, you don't get it. And they ask you, the new builds will ask you for this. So you're going to want to say, okay, sit down and have a conversation. Are you against new builds? Now, because if we show new builds, I have to change that. So I'm going to put 4% in there, and if we decide resale, I can reduce this. It's frowned upon to go up, but I believe we're allowing the agents to do that with a separate addendum. So we'll get with Tim on that, exactly how we want to do that. But I always say, if you know they're just looking at resale and there's no new builds in their price range, put your 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%, whatever you're asking for, right? We don't pick one commission. If you want to work for free, go ahead. If you're on the mentee program, you are on a 70-30 split. You guys get 70, we get 30. If you put 0, I'm still taking, Realty One Group is still taking 30% as if you made 2.5%. So if you collected nothing, then you're negative at this point, right? So you want to make sure you're watching that. So just put whatever commission, the highest amount of commission that you think you're going to get for that. And then underneath that, on line number, okay, so there's a thing that says exactly. That's if you are getting a flat fee from a builder. I still stay clear of that. I'd rather just put my commission. If they want to give me a flat fee, then I'll reduce that, right? That's fine. But I like to just put a percentage in there. Underneath that, the document storage and transaction fee, number 38, that's where you're going to put that doc storage and transaction fee. Ours fluctuates a little bit, that transaction fee, so we've got a pay scale. Then I'll help you guys. But remember, when you're on the mentee program, there is an extra $100 TC fee. Yes, so if it says $800, put $900. Otherwise, we'll collect $800 from the client, and you guys are paying the extra $100, right? Now, after you're off the mentee program, it's completely up to you if you want to continue to use the TC, and that's an additional $100, but while you're on the mentee program, it's required. She's going to, so what that means is when you're writing offers, me and Tim will review it to make sure it's filled out properly. After that offer is accepted, me, Tim, and Maria, everything goes to. Maria's job is to make sure the dates, the times, the names, the LLC, the trust is all correct. She reviews the document, all the signatures are there, and then she uploads it into SkySlope. That's why you guys don't touch SkySlope. She'll train you on how to use that SkySlope system. Someone had a question?
Yeah, I have a question. So for the commission percentage, I put 3% in there, but some builders give you like a bonus on top of the 3%.
Can't get it.
So do I need to put it additional terms?
Nope, we don't allow you guys put anything in additional terms
Oh.
because the lawyers have to review that. So that's why I'm saying is if you think that you're gonna do new builds, you might wanna put 4 or 5%. But the problem is sometimes your buyers are like, if the seller doesn't pay it, I'm not paying that. And they get a little reluctant. So we do have an addendum that shows that you can, like an addendum to the BBRA and say, hey, I only require 3%, but I'm gonna put 5 just in case the builder offers me more. And then if they don't, we decide get something that's 2.5%, I'll go ahead and reduce that if you guys are willing to take 2.5. I don't, but whatever, you reduce it to whatever that is and I'll fill out this addendum, right? So that you gotta show them all of these. Then at the same time, you're going to show them your contract, the RPA, because they're like, wait a minute, how do I know the seller's not gonna pay that? Well, on page 2 of your RPA, at the very top of page 2, and we're gonna get to that, it asks what you're asking the seller to pay. So that number cannot be more than what's on this document, right? So if I put 3% there, I'm gonna put 3% here. If I put 2.5%, I can't put 3 here because I can't collect it. I can only collect what's on here, the max that's on here. So you show your client, I'm gonna have you fill this out. If it's a resale, I'm going to fill this out, and on page 2, I'm going to put that 3%. And if they reduce it, then you'll pay the difference, or I will reduce it to blah, 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 whatever fee you're going to do. But all of the documents go together, so that's why it's kind of good to have them all in front of you while you're filling it out, or just at least explaining it and say, I'm going to go home and type it up, but I just wanted to let you know what you're filling. But again, you're going to fill this form out, this and the duties owed, before you even look at homes. So that's why I bring the empty RPA and say, hey, this is how these numbers work. That's it. This is what I'm asking the seller to pay. And then you're going to...
On line 38 for the storage and transaction fee, can you just go over that really quickly?
Yep, so that's your document storage and transaction fee. There's a $200 storage fee on every file, buyer or seller file, right? So that's, and then because by law, if the division were to walk in here and say, I need the file for 123 Main Street, we have to produce a paper copy and show proof that it's in the cloud. So there's a $200 storage fee. And then there's the transaction fee. Our transaction fees are $200 for every $200,000 of the sales price. So if you sell something from $1 to $200,000, it's 200. From 200 to 400, it's 400. So say you sell something for $350,000, it'll be a $400 transaction fee, a $200 storage fee, plus your 100 TC fee. So that's $700. That's where you would put 700 in there. And then you put to be paid towards document storage and transaction fee. Now, you guys can put $5,000 in there, but you need to describe exactly what that's for, and your clients have to sign it, saying, yes, they agree that you'll be collecting that from them. Because by putting something in there, it means the buyer is responsible. Now, if you want to pick that fee up for them, you could put $0. And then you don't...
You put 900 there. How do we know? We don't know what the price is that they're...
You do. It's on the scale. But so what you're going to be doing is hopefully talking to them and have them talk to the lender, get your pre-approval first. So you're going to know what their max amount is, right? And that I usually tell them when somebody comes to me, I'll say, oh, you'd like to look at home? Have you talked to a lender, or are you going to be paying cash? Oh, no, we need to get a loan. Here's my lender's information. I have them go talk to the lender first. Once the lender pre-approves them, that's when I go into these. I don't set them up on a search or do anything until they've talked to the lender, they're approved, here's your duties owed BBRA, now I know what their max amount is. So if they're approved for $600 but they only want to pay $350, I'm still going to put the max amount for $600,000 in there in case they are like $350. Oh, but they'll tell you $350 is my max, and then they find something for $410. Well, that just shot them up another $200, and that's going to be on you. So you want to put the max amount in there. Yes.
So are you allowed to recommend just one lender or one title company? Because I thought you'd
No.
get in trouble.
Yep.
for that.
I do 2 to the 3, but I send them. I'm like, hey, do you guys? That's in that first conversation. Do you guys have a lender that you're working with? Great. I'll send you a couple that you can call. It's completely up to you. I stay out of your finances. It's not going to hurt my feelings, no matter who you use. If your mom has one, if you need a recommendation, I'll give you a couple. If your neighbor is one, I don't care. Just talk to them. And then I always suggest you might want to get a second opinion, because a lot of older people like to go to the bank. And when they go to the bank, there's like 5 different programs they'll put them in. But when you go to an outside lender, they might have 150 different programs. So now they're stuck here, and it might not be a really good program for them, but that's all their bank recommended. So I just say, just talk to another lender, see, and if you want to go with them, that's cool. If they don't want to talk to them, that's fine. But my job is just to give them the information, and you guys decide what you want to do. So then you're going to put, did I answer all of that? Perfect. So then underneath that, on line number 40, okay, read this closely. The broker fee is due and payable, this is your commission, upon successful closing if the buyer enters into an agreement to purchase any property shown to them by the licensee within, I put 180 days, okay? What that means is they're going to sign this, and they can cancel at any point, right? So line number 14 on page number 3, or item number 14 on page 3, cancellation. Either party may cancel this agreement effective upon delivery of written notice. All they have to do is send you an email and say, I don't want you representing me anymore. And you're done. So you might have worked with them for 6 months, showing them all these properties, making all these offers, and then they decide to cancel on you. Well, this is your fail-safe on page 1. Anything that you showed them while they were under contract with you, they cannot purchase for, I put 180 days, 6 months, without me getting a commission for that, because I was the one that showed you. Because sometimes what happens is we'll be showing a house and the seller won't leave. And I'll be with one and the seller's talking to the husband, and then he's like, get rid of your realtor and I'll take money off the price. So the next day they turn around and cancel me, thinking they're gonna get money off the price and not have to pay me a commission. Nope, you'd still have to pay. So, and it's not the seller at that point. The seller got away scot-free because I didn't write the offer, but the buyer, I now have to go back and sue the buyer for my commission. So that's why that number, some people put 5 days. So I'm going to do this work, and then after you cancel me within 5 days, if you don't buy this house, well, they'll wait 6 days, and then they'll go ahead and buy this house. So put a length of time, because in 6 months, they're not going to wait 6 months for that same house, right? They're going to want it now, and they don't, right? Okay, so real quick on page 2, there's nothing you have to fill out other than line item number 35. Buyer is party to how many of these contracts? If you are doing an exclusive contract, you want them to put 0 in there. If they have a non-exclusive, which means usually the investors, they want any agent to find them anything when they call it pocket listings and all that. So if it's non-exclusive, I need to know how many of these you guys have signed at the time you're signing this with me. Might be 5. So now you know 5 other agents are helping him using the same MLS system we're using. So we're all finding him the same properties, but whatever. Okay, then the last page, additional terms. Again, we don't allow you guys to put anything on the additional terms unless it's run through the brokers and the lawyers. So leave that section blank. And then, what was that?
It has an NA there, or NA.
And NA, sorry.
Okay.
I mean, no words
Okay,
in there.
you
Yeah,
said,
yep. And then the buyers are going to sign name, date, telephone, and email for however many buyers are signing this. And then at the bottom, guys, super important, you guys keep sending all the, not you guys, but the mentees will send this to me with all of this blank down here. Well, this is all your information, your license number, you have to sign it, and then all of the Realty One information. So again, Realty One, broker name is Mark Otero. Even though Tim is our broker in this office, it's always going to have Mark Otero's name. Anything that asks for a broker is the corporate broker Mark Otero's name. And then his license number, his license number, and then the address on which your license is located, which is the Summerlin office. So you want to put all that information in there. That's it. Then what happens is once your client, you send it to me, I review it, give you the all clear, your clients sign it, this and the, okay, so real quick, back up. Duties owed. This always has to be signed, dated, and timed before anything else. And if you are sending both of these forms at the same time, you send this one first When you get it back, then you send this one. It will have different times on it. If the division wants to come in and audit your file, if they have the same exact time, because when you're Authentisign, it's all signing it at the same exact time. If this does not have a different time on there, they can come back and say you were out of order and they can fine you, right? So duties owed first, sign date and time. When you get it back, that's when you sign the other one. Once you get both of these, then you upload it, and we have the steps of how to properly upload. It's 10 steps, properly uploaded into SkySlope, which I should have included in here too. Sorry. So I have that, 10 steps on how to properly upload your documents into the SkySlope and it's gonna be going under pre-contract because you don't have an offer yet. Those two forms, anything you have signed by your clients must be uploaded into SkySlope within 72 hours. Otherwise, the division can fine you. So that's why we have you guys sign those, upload it in there. Now you can go show homes. They could sit there for 5 months. You go show homes, everything is good. They find one they want. Once we make the offer, Maria opens it and then brings over these two documents, and now she starts building your file. It's a little entailed, but also, now on to the next one. When you're signing a contract, so say you've already got your duties owed, your BBRA, and they want to make an offer on a house. These are the documents I have them sign. Residential disclosure guide, there's like 42 pages. I just printed the first one so you know what it looks like. And then the only thing we need is this last signature page, right? So you're going to print this out, or if you're Authentisigning, just send it, but they only need to sign this page. If you're printing it out, I put a paper clip, give it to them, and then I have them sign this page and I take that. But they have the whole packet. This packet just lets them know they could be buying an HOA, they could be buying underneath an airplane, whatever, like a airport. They might hear noise, they might be by a beltway. It's just a disclosure, 42 pages of disclosures of anything they want, right? But I need to show proof that I gave it to them, and it does refer to that in the contract. Did you get your residential disclosure guide? So I have them sign this, and then there's another form in the back here, the wire transfer form, wire fraud. I give it to my buyers because as soon as their offer gets accepted, they're wiring money to title and escrow, and wire fraud is rampant, and I want to let them know before we get started, be very careful when you're wiring money because anybody can intercept it and take your money. So I do that right at the get-go. I don't wait till we've got an accepted offer. I'm like letting them know ahead of time. So we'll get to that one, so residential purchase agreement, and then, residential disclosure guide, which is this one, and then our purchase agreement, right? So we have 11 pages, and I'm gonna go through on how to properly fill this out. Now, we do have, on YouTube, Tim just redid this new one, and then it's also saved and brought into One Realty resource. But I like to go over it face-to-face in case you guys have questions. And each of us explain it a little differently. So now, at the very top, this date, super important because you write the offer on this date, but it might not get accepted for 3 days. But anytime you have an addendum or something, it says on the date of the offer, it's this date, not the date it was accepted. It was always the date that the offer was written. Okay, so just keep that in mind because the dates and times, guys, are really confusing, but always remember when they ask you for the date of the RPA, it's the date it was written. Okay, top right. Okay, then you're going to put your client's names, the address, Las Vegas, what city, Clark County, zip code, the parcel number. Do we know where we get their parcel number? MLS sheet. So your MLS sheet that you'll get, that you took with them to show the property, right at the top it's underlined. That's where you're going to get your parcel number, okay? So again, you're writing this offer after you've done your comps. You've shown the home, you've done your comps, and now you've decided on all the terms for your client, and now you're popping all the information in there. So you add your parcel number and then the price. As soon as you put in the numbers, it auto-populates, it writes out the in words, right? Don't forget item number 7, everybody does. Does the buyer intend to live in this, occupy the home as a primary residence? Yes, if it's their primary, no if it's not, or a second home. Because they're like, oh, they're gonna live in it like once every, like it's gotta show that it's a second home investment. We need to know if it's primary because if they're getting an FHA loan and it all matters, right?
Is primary like 6 months or it depends on the loan?
It just depends on the loan. They might have done down payment assistance, and that might be longer. I don't know. I know there was one down payment assistance. It was 5 years. They couldn't sell it. They couldn't do anything. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why you really have to talk to your lender. The lender is your friend.
Okay.
But don't ever tell them about repairs. Because they don't need to know about repairs. Because if you say, okay, hey, we've got all these repairs that are done, they can call the loan and say, no, we're not going to loan on this house because it needs too many things, right?
Right.
But everything else you need to go to your lender for,
Okay.
right? Okay. Our job, guys, is to find the home, negotiate, do the paperwork. Lender's job is anything financial. I do not try to guess. I stay in my lane. Because if you tell them one thing and about different time frame or down payment or whatever, because you'll ask me, what are the closing costs? That is a lender question. What is the down payment? That's a lender question, you know. The lender's going to tell you 3.5% of their sales price. Then I can go ahead and figure out the numbers, but I'm not going to guess, you know. They could say they're getting a conventional loan. Well, I think 5%. It might be 20%. I don't know how much they decided they want to put down. The lender's going to tell you how to fill out, especially this page 1, right? Okay, so earnest money, that's, okay, again, on the MLS sheet, they'll ask you how much, they'll tell you how much they want. Doesn't necessarily mean to what you should do. I've seen some of them $10,000 earnest money for a $250,000 home. Why would I do that? If my clients had $10,000 living, you know, sitting around, they wouldn't be paying $250,000, right? So I try to do like anything under $300,000. I do about $3,000. I don't do $1,000, guys. Some people say just put $1,000. Okay, what the earnest money is for is to say, I, in good faith, am going to tie up your property and I'm going to move forward and buy it. But you have to take that property off the market. So it has to be worthwhile. In case I back out or I default as a buyer, they can go and try to claim that money and pay their bills that it costs them to take the property off the market, hold another mortgage, mortgage payment or HOA fees or whatever. So $1,000 is not it. We usually see those in the flippers and investors. It needs to be worthwhile for the seller to take the property off. So anything about $300,000 and below, I do about $3,000. $5,000 above, you know, at $300,000. When you get to $1 million, that's closer to the $10,000. If they do $2 million, $3 million, I've seen $100,000, $200,000. It just depends on the property and what they're asking for, whatever. But again, if they're asking for $100,000, you could say, I'm going to do a $50,000 one. Like, that's a lot of money because your buyer is putting that up saying, hey, if I default, I'm giving it to them. That's a big pill to swallow because things happen sometimes. But that's why they hire us, to make sure we keep them on the right time frame so they don't lose something, right? Their earnest money. So with that, you'll put the earnest money there, and in that you are going to mark the box after or, okay? Because it's not presented with it. We're not handing them a check or giving them money with this offer. You're going to mark the box or and put in there to be wired to title within 3 business days. Or 72 hours, or whatever you want to put in there. If you want to make it look a little bit more enticing, you can put 2 business days, whatever. But make sure your buyer's going to do it. And then right underneath that, you're going to put 3 business days and mark escrow holder. We do not hold money. It goes nowhere else but to title and escrow. They hold the money, right? They'll send them wire instructions. They wire it to them. We stay out of it. We don't get the wire instructions. I don't want to be a party to that, right? And then additional deposit, that's if you're like, I'll give you $10,000 now, and after the inspection, I'll drop in another $10,000. Very rarely, probably twice in my 20-year career did I use that item number 18B, section B. I don't do that too often, so usually that's just 0. Then this agreement is contingent on the loan amount. This agreement is contingent upon assuming. Very rarely do we get assumptions, but right now we've got some people that are in like 2% interest rates. They want to sell their home, so they're like, hey, if you were to buy this home next door, that's going to be like 7%. But if you buy my home, you can assume that loan at 2%. So they're like taking over that loan. Whole different thing, that's a lender class. But anyways, we don't see it too often, so it's usually 0.00.
Promise. Something your lender will be.
Yes, yep, your lender's going to work with you on that. Promissory note, honestly, 20 years I haven't done it. So you're probably not going to do too many of them. So 0.00. Balance of purchase price. So if they tell you you need $15,000 down, that balance plus your earnest money is your down payment. Okay? And then the loan is what they're actually going to take out. So EMD, earnest money deposit, plus your loan, plus your balance needs to total the total price at the bottom. Okay? So if you have any questions when you're writing it, just let me know, because we're already over an hour, and so I don't want to keep you guys too long going over the numbers. Second page, the very top, that's where you're going to put your commission. And then it says, I put in here for reference, 3% of the gross price of the property, or that would be a flat fee. Do not put NA or 0.00 there, because it says this percentage or 0.00. Guess which one the seller's going to pick? They're going to pick the 0.00, right? So just put dash, 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 dash. Slants. I don't care what you do. Do not put a number or a word in there. Don't put NA. People think, I'm just going to put NA. That means not applicable. Your commission is not applicable. So just put the commission, the max commission you can collect, right? New loan application. We prefer you guys write done in there. Done means they've already talked to the lender and have gotten a pre-approval letter. It's done. Yes?
I have two of the same. You have.
Oh, did I take
that
yours?
Page, yeah.
Which one do you need? Page 2?
The one you're reading on right now.
Okay, hold on. I got one over here.
I have page 5. 2 5s. Sorry.
2 5s? Okay, so you need a number 1?
I have number 1. I just don't have.
I don't have number 2 either.
You don't have 2 either?
It's.
Oh my goodness, guys. What happened? I tried to print back to back, and that's what happened. Oh, yeah.
So you can keep going.
Oh, you know what? None of you guys have 2.
I have one number.
Lauren has a 2. That's how I know I don't have that one.
I do, I didn't realize this was that.
Okay, what's on the back of 2? Okay, there's 1. I have 1 and 3. Oh, 1 and 9. What is going on? Okay, so I'll get you guys a whole new packet. So apparently
Okay, I'll follow Lauren's.
apparently they're all messed up. But I'll print you guys all a new one after this. I tried to save paper, and apparently it didn't work out for me. So I'll get you that after. But, okay, so on page 2, you're going to put your commission and then that. Okay, section number 3, the loan application, put done. Appraisal. Try to put, okay, appraisal, again, the appraisal has to be ordered, completed, performed, and then given us back and time to negotiate. So don't put 10 days. I put 18. When you're representing the buyer, you want these dates to be really long. But then when you're representing the seller, I will always counter you back and make them shorter. But don't make them so short that they can't perform, right? You always want to talk to your lender first. How long do you need for appraisal and how long do you need for loan before I'm writing any offer? He's like, hey, because VA loans, sometimes the appraisals take a little bit longer. So especially with VA, how much time do you need? So I always talk to the lender, hey, before I write an offer, how much do you need for loan and appraisal? And close of escrow. That's an important one too. So those are the 3 things I ask the lender. Loan, appraisal, and close of escrow. So then I usually put 17 or 18 days for appraisal, and then 21 to 25 for the loan contingency, right? And then cash purchase, I put N/A unless they are doing cash purchase. This just states with how many days will I give them, the listing agent, a proof of funds. Well, hopefully it's coming with my offer. So you could put done in there too if it's cash, right? And then I'm gonna skip down to additional terms. Okay, this is where the MLS sheet comes in. So as you see in there, I put the following additional items of the personal property are also included, and I put as per the MLS dated and timed to include GE refrigerator, dishwasher, microwave. So as per the MLS number is the top left of the one that I took them out with, dated and timed on the top right, so it coincides with what I'm sending them, so they know exactly when I looked at the property and what's included in it. And then I also, even if it says washer, dryer, refrigerator, if they're really nice, I'm gonna include it in there, because sometimes what they do is washer, dryer, refrigerator, and then they show the really nice stainless steel ones, and then at close of escrow, they brought the refrigerator from the garage in that's all beat up. I just told you I was giving you a refrigerator. I didn't say it was the one that was in there. See how tricky that is? So that's why I put GE, refrigerator, dishwasher. I want that all to match, you know, like you're just switching things out, right? So they get tricky, guys, so you have to think like they might try to take it away from you. Okay, so page number 3, title, open escrow. So this is where you would write in Rock title and then your escrow officer. And here I put Kathleen LaMarche. We have a few of them that we have 2 Rock Title offices, one in Green Valley and then one at the Southwest, kind of by IKEA. And they have 3 or 4 escrow officers in each office. So Kathleen's one I've been using personally myself for years. We also have Laura Murad, Brad Moring. So they're all in there. All their information is right outside their door. Their business cards, they're all in there. But make sure you spell their names right. I had somebody last night put Kathy and then something else, and I was like, that person, those are 2 different people because they're escrow officers at 2 different. I was like, they're not even with us, either one. So just make sure you've got their information correct, and then close of escrow. You always want to try to do at least 30 to 45 days. If you know the seller wants a fast close, you want to maybe make that a little bit shorter, but talk with your lender if he can do it in that amount of time. Also, try not to close on a Monday or a Friday. It is at the end of the month, because at the end of the month they're trying to, and you can't get in to sign, and you've got moving trucks. But on a Monday, you don't know if they're going to get the docs to that Monday morning, and that person already took off work, and now they can't take off Tuesday, and it's a whole big thing. So try to always plan it for a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? And then line 22, buyer's due diligence. Buyer's obligation is conditioned on the due diligence and put at least 10 days. Try not to go too much further than that. Back in the day, we did 7 days in and out. Like it's very hard to do that. So we've kind of extended that to 10 days all around. We all kind of understand that. Now, if they're out of state or there's a holiday in there and you don't think you can get your inspector in there, you can do 12 days and explain to the listing agent. I put 12-day due diligence because there's a holiday and my guy, I already talked to him, he can't get out until this date. Now remember, that due diligence period is that right once you open escrow, the very next day, day 1 starts, and those are your 10 days. You have to call your inspector, get him out there. He has to do the report. It takes 24-hour turnaround time. You have to draw up a repair request, but if there's extra estimates needed, you have to call a roofer, a plumber. All of that has to be done in there, and you have to get it to the other side, and they have to respond to you all in that 10 days. So we put a clause in the back end here we'll show you about, but it's just a lot to do in 10 days, right? So if you don't get your inspector out there for day 4, you're not getting the report till day 5. Now you got to get a roofer, and he can't get out there for another 2 days. You're done. So now you're guessing on what the repair request amount should be, but you're like, I don't know. And if you over guess, then that seller might walk away. If you under guess, then now you're not getting everything that it's going to take for that buyer to repair. So you really want to do, a good job. But again, while you guys are in this on the Mentee program, I'm with you the whole way, right? You're calling me and they're like, okay, I'm like, okay, when's your inspection? Okay, great. Tell me when you got your report. Okay, what are they wanting? Okay, this is what we got to do. So I'm with you the whole way. Don't get worried about it, right? But I just want you to understand. Yeah, I know. So nothing else to fill out on the bottom except for they have to initial here to resolving objections. They're not going to sue everybody. They'll go to mediation first. So page 4. Super important, section number 11 here, all of these inspections. If the buyer can do it and wants to do it, you'll put buyer. If they can do it but don't want to do it, it's waived. If they cannot do it, it's N/A. What that means is if I'm buying a house right here in Summerlin, I'm not on septic. There is no septic system, so that would be N/A, not applicable. But if they have a roof, which they do, I'm just going to waive that because I don't feel like I need a roof inspection, right? So waived if they can do it but choose not to. NA if it's not applicable to that home, like a wood-burning fireplace. 90% of the homes here in town don't have wood burning. They have gas, but a wood-burning a fireplace inspection, N/A because theirs is gas, or they don't even have a fireplace at all. Okay. If they are doing a VA loan and they want to get, and they have to get lead-based, termite inspection, you would put seller or buyer. Back in the day, the seller was required to pay for it. I believe now anybody can pay for it. So again, you guys are going to put what's applicable there. And then down here, if they're in an HOA, title and escrow fees. Escrow fees, I always suggest putting 50/50. Half and half. Seller pays some, buyer pays some. They might kick that back, but try. The transfer fee, transfer tax, I always put seller. The lender's title policy, it's the buyer's responsibility because it's their loan. Appraisal, buyer. A buyer is going to need an appraisal if they're getting a loan, so buyer. Owner's title policy, the seller owns the house, so that's seller. So I do 50-50, seller, buyer, buyer, seller. And then other, I put NA unless there's something you can think of, right? So just going over it real quick. Closing costs. If you guys need closing costs, this is where you would put it. You would put your dollar figure, and I always put including. Mark the box including. So that means $5,000 including anything else that's required by the loan. And when you're doing a VA loan, sometimes they have extra fees. So I'll just ask the seller, give me $5,000, that's to include everything that I might possibly need, right? Home protection plan, this is where you would put the buyer waives it or requires it, and then the company that you're using, and who do you want to buy it, the seller or the buyer, and then how much. Guys, right outside this door is a whole bunch of home warranty company sheets. Look at what the prices are. So, because if you put $600, but the plan they want is $800, guess what? Now you just cost your buyer $200. They have to pay to get the plan that they want for the coverage of the house they need. And remember, if they've got a pool, that's an additional coverage. If they have a casita, that's additional. Like, there's all this additional stuff. So make sure you look at what they're needing and talk it over with them. It's a buyer's choice. Here's a couple of home warranty companies. You guys pick which one you want, and then you guys will add it. And you can go in there and type in all the information, and it gets sent to title and escrow, right? Okay, down here is CIC, which is a common interest community, anything to do with the HOA. I just usually put seller on everything. And then they can counter me back if they don't want it, but generally the seller will cover all the stuff that has to do with the HOA until it transfers. And then that becomes the buyer's. Now, some of the communities have a huge transfer fee, and it's stupid. It's like $300-400 to transfer it from the seller name to the buyer name. So the seller's like, I'm not paying it. They'll put it in the MLS sheets, buyer to pay the transfer fee. So now you got to call up the HOA, and how much is that? Okay, Mr. Buyer, that's an extra $400. Are you okay with that? Like, this is all just writing it out. You've got to find out all of this information. Sometimes this listing agent will have it for you, but do you trust it? I don't. So I like to call and get the information so I know, right? Anyways, these are the following disclosures that you are requesting the seller give you. Always mark that SRPD form, the seller real property disclosure, on the very first one. It's a whole nother form that the seller needs to provide to you, usually within the first, I think, 48 hours. Open range, that's not a shooting range, that's animals, you know. Very few places are you going to need it, but like if you're on the outskirts of town or Pahrump or Sandy Valley, there could be donkeys and horses that come up. So you want to get that cup, you know, if that's it. Construction defect, I don't have it marked here, but I like to mark it because there's a lot of subdivisions that have had construction defect claims. So if that seller knows about it, I want to know about it. What was it that the lawsuit was about? Was it fixed? I want to know about it. Lead-based paint, only if it was built in 1968 or older. Hey, it's a smart home. If there's anything that's attached to the Wi-Fi, your Ring doorbell, your refrigerator, your thermostat, you need to get this form. So when you're, as agents, walking around that house to view it, keep note of that. Like, okay, there's a Nest thermostat, there's a Ring doorbell, because there's a whole nother form. It's the smart home form, and it asks the speed of the internet. Super important, because when people work from home, they need to know how much internet they have. Like, so there's a whole bunch of stuff, but we need to know if all of their systems are going to work, right? Solar panel addendum, you only need that if there's solar panels on the house. That's a whole other thing. All right, next page, real quick, walkthrough. I always put 3 days before close of escrow. And I try to get the seller to move out before that so I can do my final walkthrough without any stuff there. Delivery of possession, I always put close of escrow unless there's a specific date that they have to move out, like if I'm going to let the seller do a rent back or something like that, but most of the time it's going to be COE. And then the buyer's will initial here for mediation. Page number 7, the only thing is line number 33. The buyer will or will not pay the additional compensation fee. Well, in your BBRA, you did have them initial the document storage and transaction fee down here. So if the buyer is paying that, you need to mark will on that little page, that little tiny little thing over there. You need to do that, right? All right, next page, there's nothing to fill out on page number 8. Page number 9, line number 10, addendums. if you are doing a rent back, a contingency, any kind of addendum that you're going to include when you make this offer. Now, do you guys know what a contingency is? I should go into that. A contingency is, I am approved to buy your home as long as I sell my current home and use those funds to pay for it. So my offer is contingent on me selling this home. But if I can't sell this home, I can't buy your home.
So could that be possibly like homes waiting like 3-4 months in the market for them to sell their home?
Could be. But contingencies are not desirable, but they're needed.
Right.
I've had to do one before. You know, like it just happens. Like I don't have all the funds to hold 2 mortgages. I'm only approved for this much, so I have to sell this and use the funds to pay for this one. That's what's going to pay for it, right? That's my down payment. That's all of that. So it's tough because not only we're trying to do this transaction with 2 realtors, now we got 2 other realtors that we aren't involved in over here, and a title company and a lender. And if that buyer on that end fails, then they lose the house, which means we lose this house, so it affects everybody. So if you have a contingency, you will need to provide a contingent upon sale addendum plus the contract for that they're in there. So if you get into that, guys, let me know. Whole nother thing. Whole nother thing. So additional terms. This is where we kind of help with the due diligence period. We ask you guys to put in there, buyer's due diligence period to be extended by the same number of days it takes the seller to respond to the buyer's repair request in writing. And the reason why we do this was back in the day, we'd have a 10-day due diligence period, and we'd give them our repair request on day 5, and that seller would just wait for that time to end. And if we don't cancel it as a buyer, we can either cancel it or take the house as is and get nothing. So now we're saying we're going to send you a repair request, and it's going to keep extending until you respond to us. And then that buys us a little bit of extra time, right? Because you might, by the time you get estimates and everything, it might be day number 9, and they're like, we can't make a decision. You can ask them to extend the due diligence period. But if you have this in here, that verbiage exactly like that, then you're covered, right? And then also I like to put home to be left in, I put let, but home to be left in clean and broom swept condition. They can't leave trash in there. A lot of them will bring everything down, just put it in the garage, and it's like, oh, just take it out, next trash. I'm like, that's going to be 5 trash cycles. Or you've left a couch. I have to take that to the dump. That's not the buyer's responsibility. So it really is your job, even if you do your walkthrough 2 days before, the day of signing or closing, recording, I always generally will go by the house, make sure they haven't beat anything up, stole anything out of there, nothing. And I'm like, okay, I call title, we're good to go if you want to record. I know it's good. But if I get in there and chandeliers are missing, I'm like, nope, halt that. We're not closing. Like, this is not the way condition it was when we made the offer. They did this shuck and jive move with the appliances. That is not the same stuff, right? So, and they can't leave all the trash because now it's an expense. And guess what? The buyers aren't going to pay for it. Who do you think is going to pay for it? That would be you guys, right? And I've had to do that before to get a whole huge dumpster. So anyways, then this page number 10. This is all your client's information. I mean, not your clients, you as an agent's information. Mark Otero is your broker. Realty One is the brokerage, and in Mark's license number, I always like to put my phone number because it's, if somebody's looking at it, title, the lender, whatever, it's got this number to call, right? And then on this side is my name, my license number, and then my where my brokerage is, and then my email, right? Down here is buyer's licensee disclosure of interest. This is if you are related to your client. We need to disclose that. And they say 2 arm's length. I always say if it's a close family friend that you grew up with but you're not blood, still disclose it. It's better to disclose than not and get yourself in a situation, right? So most of the time it's going to be does not, but if it is does, they are related to you in some way. You would say principal, meaning you're personally buying this house, or family or firm relationship with the buyer and owner. And then, but if it's does not, I put NA, okay? Seller must respond to this offer. I give the seller 24 hours, guys. Don't give them 3-4 days because 1, it opens up to take more offers. But 2, you want them to respond to you right away. Like, I don't want to sit, now they might say my seller's unavailable. Okay, I'm going to still put 24 hours, but just know we're interested. Because now you technically cannot take your client out to go view any more homes and make any more offers because you're bound to this, right? You can only really put one offer out. We only allow you to put one offer out at a time. So if you're sitting here for 5 days and they found another one, you have to rescind this offer now and then go look at the other one or make an offer on the other one. You can't. Yeah, I know, you can't. I know. So you want, that's why I say 24 hours.
If that one was accepted.
If they're both accepted, somebody's going to come after you.
Yes,
Yeah, somebody's going to come after you. If they
Yeah.
both accept you, now what?
you're buying 2
Yeah,
homes.
buying 2 homes. So you don't want to do that. So you do one offer and put a 24-hour response time. And it's 24 hours from when you think you're going to send it over. So if you're getting initials and I'm like, I'm going to send it within the hour, then I'm going to put response time 24 hours from now, right? And then it says, the date, the year, AM, PM, super important, right? And then you have them sign it. At the bottom of every single page is an initial, guys. They must sign the middle one here and initial the bottom of every single page. If it's not initialed, it's not a completed contract. The last page is now the listing agent's information. I can't stress this enough, but a lot of the agents send this over to me blank. It needs to be filled out with all of the listing information on the bottom of this MLS sheet. It is given to you. Do not leave it blank. It's all right here. Their broker's name, their broker's license, everything is there. Just fill it out, because if they don't, to me, as a listing agent, that's a lazy agent. And if I've got 2 really good offers or exactly the same, I tell my clients, yep, I already know how this one's going to go. They didn't even fill out their contract. You're killing it for yourself, right? Just do the job, right? And fill it out, and then you fill out nothing below that. You don't even mark the box, seller disclose, nothing. You don't put the buyer's names down here as printed, nothing. Don't. Okay? Just fill out the top and you're done with that. Okay, that's it. This is your MLS sheet. This is wire fraud. I've included it in there. It just needs a date and the buyers to sign. Just acknowledging them that wire fraud is rampant. Here, I did include this. Due diligence and language and RPA time. So this is everything that you put in there for your EMD, your due diligence period. It kind of spells it all out there. And then what to put on the additional terms. Upon buyer providing seller with request for repairs, buyer's due diligence period shall be extended by the same number of calendar days it takes to sell. This is a little bit more lengthy, but it's very thorough. So probably use this one. So those are other things that you can add. Now, I've also included in here something I always use with my own documents, like my files. It's everything. It's like a timeline sheet. What was the listing date, lockboxes? First part is for selling when I'm the listing agent. But once you get to offer accepted, if I represent the buyer, what date was the offer accepted, the counter accepted, the addendum, the escrow, and then I get a folder, and once it's accepted, I put all my stuff in the folder. When I open it, this is on the inside. Then I'll put the title company's contact information, the lender's information, my client's information. So everything is right here, and I take a picture of it, and I leave it in my phone. So if I'm traveling, I don't have to keep the paper everywhere, but I need to call a title and escrow. And if you've got 2 or 3 deals, you're like, which title company was that one with? So you put the address up top, and then now you know, and then your client's information. You can make these yourself. This is just something I made for myself, and that's how I kept track of everything. And then when you have a listing, you'll fill out the listing information, and then when you get an offer accepted, you keep going. But when you just represent the buyer, it's right up here, down on the bottom. And then once you guys get an offer accepted, Tim and I require you to fill out the important contingency timelines, right? This is you're the realtor, who's the lender, who your clients, and the address. Then it's what was the original date, which is the top right of page 1. What was the date that it was accepted? And then earnest money, due diligence, appraisal, loan, and closing. And then once your offer is accepted, you fill this out, and that's what we keep on our whiteboards. So I'm calling you guys, hey, your due diligence ends tomorrow. Did you accept it? Are you good to move forward? Do you need to cancel? I'm in it with you guys, but this timeline needs to be correct. So if they accepted their offer today, and it's a 10-day due diligence period, day 1 starts tomorrow. Okay, so then you have 10 days starting tomorrow, not today. And that's the only way we can do it where we're all not confused, right? So other than that, I know it's a super long class, but does anybody have any questions? Yes?
How long does it typically take to fill out an RPA?
Well, me, 10 minutes. You guys, it might take a little bit more because you want to be very thorough. But I've been doing it for 20 years. But just take however long it takes, right? Again, you might start filling it out and you're like, oh, when did you want close of escrow? Okay, but did you say you're going out of town? Don't make close of escrow in a week that they're gone because they have to sign, walk through, and record and get the keys. Once it records, you should give them those keys within 24 hours. Like I usually get within the hour or two. But sometimes they're like, oh, I'll be back on Friday. You can't, that agent has to come and get their lockbox off of there. So you're like, oh my God. So you ask them, did you say you're going out of town? Let's not close that week. Let's push it to the next week. So you're gonna have questions and things like that when you're filling it out. But usually once you're up and running, 20, 30 minutes. Because again, we went through it and it's just, you're only filling in the spots that need to be filled in.
And then what about like when you were saying like some of the bigger master plan communities?
Did it end?
It says low battery and it
Okay.
stopped.
Okay, that's okay. So now we're at the, did you see how long that was like that?
I just
No,
saw
okay.
it, so.
I know, every time I go over an hour, it's a little iffy with this one, but okay, go ahead.
If the master plan, when you're saying some of them are like $300 to $400, the bigger, where you're asking sometimes
For the
seller
transfer
wants to
fee.
buy or the transfer fee. Do you know that, or
So-
that adds to the time, doesn't it?
So now, look at this. When you are making showing homes,
Right.
you're going to have HOA information here. When you're in a master plan community, you're going to have the master plan fee, Summerlin.
Right.
The subdivision fee. You are going to have a sit-in lid balance. That's for your walkways and your parks. That's just the HOA monthly fees or
Right.
yearly fees or whatever. But the transfer fee, so what I usually do is like, you like this? Great. Let me call the HOA. It's very hard to get them on the phone. But if you can, just say, I'm a buyer's agent. We're going to be making an offer on 123 Main Street. Can you tell me what the HOA transfer fee, what it includes, and if there's any other additional fees included?
And if it's a Sunday you're putting them in?
Good luck. You don't know. You just don't know. So you can ask the agent. I'm going to be honest with you. It's so hard because there's so many agents that weren't trained.
Right.
So 75% of them had never even called the HOA themselves. And they just used this number from whatever was in there last time. And it might not even be an updated number. So that's why when you guys take my listing classes, I'm so serious about the listing. You don't want to take any past information because your name is on it.
Right.
Your name's on it everywhere. You're responsible for everything that you put in there. So just do this, call. And then so when somebody calls up and it's a Sunday, they're like, I want to make an offer, but how much are these fees? Well, I called last week and this is what they told me. Feel free to call yourself, but this is the most updated information that I have. And then you give that to them. But it's up to you as a buyer's agent to really get that information for your clients. The master plan communities are the hardest ones. Sun City, Summerlin, all of them, they have huge, there's a transfer fee and then there's another fee, I forget what it's called. But it's really the same thing, it's like a
So is
transfer
that
fee.
something, if it is on a Sunday, do you just put for the seller to pay and then it's?
Yeah, I
you
always
for a
put,
counter and
I
then
always
they
put
give
this,
you the cost?
I always put the seller to pay anyways. If your offer's really good, then they're not gonna gawk over that. They're
Right.
like, fine, they gave us full price, we'll just pay that stuff.
Okay.
But if you're coming in 20,000 below, asking for 20,000 in closing costs, asking for a home warranty,
More than likely.
and then you want all of these fees paid, they're gonna go, yeah, that's $60,000 off my price. Okay, and then they're gonna come at me with repairs. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
But some people take it. But that's the thing is you kind of have to really do your job and investigate. And that's why people think, oh, it's realtors are just shoveling paper around, writing some numbers in there. There's so much behind the scenes that people don't appreciate that we do. I mean, I love being a realtor and I'm like very thorough in what I do. But you have to take it seriously because most of the agents out there are not. But those are the ones that are going to rise, the ones that take that seriously. It's just, I don't know, I could go on and on and on about that. But any other questions? No? Okay, perfect. Thank you for attending, guys. I have not made next month's classes yet. I know we'll have 2 for sure, but let's see. So this is writing the offer. I think it's like offer accepted, like opening escrow, and then it's doing the home inspection, the repair request, the appraisal we go over. So I try to keep them in order. Now, also, yes.
Sorry, when you were saying in the days like home inspection and, once offer's accepted and all that, are you, if Lauren's my client, am I giving her like, hey, here are the lists of 3 home inspectors here while
2 or 3,
I'm in the process of writing up the contract? Doesn't that
You can.
Our offer's been accepted now, here are 3 people
Yep.
call and figure out.
I do because if there's some people that really like to investigate and really research,
Right.
you can't do it like, hey, they accepted our offer, who do you want to use?
Right.
I always say, here's the top 3, here's who I personally use for my own homes. I haven't personally used them, but my clients have used these other 2.
Okay.
I think they're all really good, but here's the thing, they might all have different prices and different things that's included. Like I know some of them include the red light, whatever, to see the water and the moisture and all that. Other ones charge you an extra $100 for that. So, you know, you guys should research your inspectors as well, just to find out what they do. And then like if they have a pool, some people might charge you $100. Some people might charge you $200. Like, hey, if we use them, I know they charge, we have a pool on this one. That's going to be an extra $200 for your inspection report. And some people are like, I don't want an inspection. Oh, no. I won't even represent somebody without an inspection. I talk to them before we even make offers. Before we go out, guys, this is what's going to be expected of you. Once we make an offer, you're going to have 10 days to do your inspection, which is going to be about $500-$600, maybe $700, depending on if you have a pool or not. And then the lender's going to request a appraisal, which could be another $500 to $600. So that's going to be about $1,200 out of your pocket right now. Nothing else will be due till the end, but that's $1,200. And if something goes crazy and you decide to not move forward, you've lost that money, okay? But I would never represent somebody that's not getting a home inspection. So you guys are got to be okay with that, because it's your time to inspect. I'd rather you lose the $600 than get into a house that's $20,000, $30,000 in things that nobody's repairing, right? So I'd rather just, and we're going to try to limit that. And hopefully you get the first one and you're not paying for that right up front. But I have that discussion right away, because there are times that I'm going to waive it and there's mold. They don't know that, and I'm just going to I'm going to renovate anyways. Okay, well, if they're a flipper, maybe. But even then, I'd like them to know what it is. But it's a very risky thing to do without getting an inspection. So
it'd be good just to have the list ahead of time, so that as you're looking, if they want.
And then I take those flyers for the home warranty people and I give them to them as well. I'm like, hey guys, but that should be a part of your buyer presentation. You can include a list of them. You can go through your presentation and say, here's a packet, here's some of the inspectors I use, here are the home warranty companies that I'm familiar with, here are some of their flyers. That way you guys have an idea to research this ahead of time. And lenders. And then that way you give them a package to stay. Because you'll go through your buyer package or your presentation, and it is what it is. They're not getting it. But it's the stuff that you leave with them that they need to go through. Anybody else? No? Okay, perfect. You guys have a good week. Let me know if you have any questions. Call me, text me, email me, stop on in. But other than that, we'll see how much of this we got.
Where do we get this form on transaction desk, the supplemental list?
On
It's in
transaction,
there.
it's in there.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you go on a transaction desk, at the very top is a little search button. I don't ever click on there and go through the list. I just search duties and supplemental and SRPD, and then it pops them in there, and I just add them to my cart. Like, that's it. And then it opens them all up.
Oh yeah, quick question.
Oh, it's still recording.